Hey guys, welcome to Denny's. Today we're going to be jumping into Ultimate Freyna. More specifically, we are going to be covering three different builds for her. We've got a group bossing, solo bossing, and a mobbing build. We're going to go over weapons, components, reactors, everything. Remember, we are live 5 days a week on Twitch. If you guys want to tune in, I'm doing all this stuff live and testing everything. Would really love to see you guys there, but we are not going to waste any time. We are going to jump right into the video. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, let us talk about the Descendant builds first. So we're going to go through all three here. I've got a mobbing one, a group bossing, and a solo bossing. So the first one's going to be what I call the spreader. This is going to be the mobbing build. So the Transcendents, there is many of them for Freyna. We are going to be using Venom Synthesis. Main reason for that is basically the 30% increase in movement speed. There's not really a whole lot other than that. Obviously, you drop the big pools around and they extend based on your range and stuff, so it is nice for speed running dungeons. However, most of our like damage from this build is going to be from spamming our first ability and having it spread that way. So truly, if you want to remove Venom Synthesis and just not run any mods at all, you could run the one that makes it so that your barrier goes on your allies, so toxic stimulation, if you just want to give them a little bit more. But you could also run nothing, and just that way your third ability you can shoot out if you want to spawn camp some kind of spawn or make sure to spread your poisons a little bit further. However, you really don't need to, because it only takes one or two of your first ability with this build to just clear an entire room for about I think like an indefinite amount of time, honestly, as long as they keep spawning. But yeah, Venom Synthesis just for the movement speed, purely for the movement speed. I do like swapping it out for Toxic Stimulation whenever I want to shoot out my third ability. Like if I'm farming fragments, I will shoot out my third ability instead of running around, because it's a lot more chill to AFK farm with the third ability being shot out than the sprinting around. You can literally just sit there, shoot out the third ability and the first ability, and you just AFK farm the fragments. But yeah, that is the Transcendent mod. We'll talk about the most important mods in my opinion. So we've got skill expansion and maximize range. This is basically going to make it so that you can clear rooms. If you take off just one of these mods, you'll actually notice how much less effective Freyna is, because what we're doing is we're taking our explosion and our pool from whenever we kill a mob with our dots to from 4 meters all the way to 12 meters with these two mods. Now, if you go down to even 8 meters, you're not going to hit mobs that spawn a certain distance away. This is why we actually don't run Contagion, because Contagion actually makes it so that distance is less. But this is the other reason we don't run Contagion is just because it doesn't do as much damage. It's only one damage over time effect compared to the 2 or 3 that we can get stacking with this setup. But yeah, range is very important. We've obviously got Focus on Toxic, Focus on Tech, Nimble Fingers, and MP Conversion. Need no introduction. Obviously, we need a lot of cooldown reduction. We have 75% cooldown reduction right there with those mods alone. And then this is going to be how we spam our first ability, as well as any ability really, to kind of get most of our damage out. Also, for the 400% dungeons, or if you're running 250s if you need to be, or invasion dungeons, this means you can literally pull out your ultimate ability like every 20 seconds. It's actually kind of absurd. I think it's like a 28-second cooldown with these mods, which means you are just able to dish out a ton of mobbing damage, but you're also able to dish out a bunch of bossing and single target damage with that ultimate ability with Freyna, just because of this. And that is why we're running those cooldowns. Obviously, we've got increased HP. We've got the MP collector. Now, increased HP is a must, and you can put a second HP module where MP collector is. However, I like MP collector just in case. It really just makes it feel smooth in case you ever are low on MP. You get a nice refresh like immediately. Again, though, this is the one socket you can change out. I would argue that you really don't even need it. I just like it. You can run a second HP mod. You can run Dangerous Ambush. You can run Decimator. There's many different things you can put there. It is a free slot for the build because of how strong Freyna is. We really, really, really do not need MP Collector, because we can just run around and collect the ones on the floor, because we only really need to fire off our first ability once or twice. I just like spamming abilities, to be honest, so it always feels better to run the MP Collector. But that is going to be the mods that we are using for the mobbing build. Obviously, with the long distance maneuvering, I'm always going to choose that. And then we will hop over to the group bossing build now. Okay, so for the group bossing build, this is going to be for basically any boss that you are doing with a group that's like semi-difficult. This is going to be like probably Gluttony. This is going to be Deathstalker, and maybe like Molten Fortress if you're doing that with Freyna. I would definitely recommend doing it with Haley, but if you don't have Haley, you have Freyna, you like Freyna, you want to main Freyna, this is the build for you. So Venom Injection is the most important thing as far as our single target damage for bossing. Changes our second ability to basically kind of like a bunny ability, except for you don't go faster. It just gives you more damage, kind of like a Haley ability, honestly, that Haley third ability. But that's going to give us a nice 66% skill power modifier increase, and then it puts a dot on the enemy that reduces their toxin resistance by 25%. So we're going to use that, and we're going to use that paired with our ultimate, as well as the damage boosting mods again. So focus on tech, focus on toxic, toxic amp, and tech amp. This is going to be how we get most of our damage, pretty much all of our damage actually, and we are going to absolutely blast with just these mods. However, to make it better, and especially for group bossing, we are going to be adding a ton of survivability. So we have increased shield, stim accelerant, overwhelming shield, HP conversion shield, and increased HP. This is going to give us right around 20,000 shield or 17,000 shield. That is going to make us extremely tanky for when we are doing these group bossing. Now, we only have about 6,000 defense, but I do think that shield's a little bit more important, especially if you're running group bossing with like a Eugen or an Enzo. It's very, very nice. It's really, really nice. You're basically always at full shield, and you're just doing insane amounts of damage. We do have the overwhelming shield on, so obviously that is the big reason that we are running this. Really good on Deathstalker, the new boss. I think that overwhelming shield is very important. Obviously, it basically negates the entire mechanic of the HP reduction on Deathstalker, so it makes it extremely, extremely easy. And yeah, blasting damage. We've got a little bit of cooldown with Nimble Fingers and focus on toxic and tech. And then we're able to get that cooldown on our ult down to about a minute, down from about 2 minutes. And then obviously you can, use that second ability with the ultimate ability to get some damage stacking with that necrosis debuff. And that is the build for group bossing. Okay, let's talk about solo bossing. So we are using Venom Injection again. We are changing out a few of the survivability aspects of the group bossing build, and we're changing them for Dangerous Ambush and Spear and Shield. Basically, we don't need as much tankiness whenever we're soloing bosses because we can burst them down pretty quick. The only thing I will say is for your battle mod and your attack mod, you absolutely can run maximize power and maximize skill instead of toxic specialist and tech specialist. If you want to get the absolute most damage out of this, that gives you a nice like 10% extra damage just from using those. And then obviously, you can run Venom Synctium instead of Stim Accelerant or whatever you want. This is mainly just to get us the Venom Injection synergy going with the overwhelming shield so that we can make sure that our HP is always 1 and we're never consuming our MP to get the damage with Venom Injection and our ultimate ability. But we are running Dangerous Ambush. It needs no explanation. Obviously, when you're solo bossing, you can nuke the bosses. They drop to their knees pretty quick, and you are able to stun them like that, and they are dead. And then you've got the increased HP, obviously increased shield. Like I said, that's really all you need. You don't really even need Stim Accelerant. I just like this just in case. I will say, you're going to basically be one-phasing all the bosses other than Swamp Walker with this build, and it's quite nice. So realistically, you could drop some of the HP. I just like to be a little bit tankier just in case. And you can run something like this build in a harder invasion dungeon to get as much damage as you can onto the final 2 bosses as well. I wouldn't recommend it. I would probably still run the mobbing build because it makes it so much easier to get to that end part of the dungeon with Freyna. But yeah, this is the solo bossing build. This is how you're going to do as much damage as you can, mainly just replacing Dangerous Ambush and Spear and Shield with the 2 other survivability mods that we had to get that extra skill power buff. And that is really it. All right, and then let's talk about the components I'll be using for every set. It is going to be the Slayer set. So the Slayer set, all you're going to want to make sure to have on the Slayer set is realistically the most defense you can get. So obviously you want defense on the memory, you want HP on the auxiliary power, and then it's really, really nice to have max MP and MP recovery in combat on the sensor, just because it gives us that extra little boost of MP that we need. Obviously you can run MP recovery out of combat on the aux power and whatnot. I do like to have an equipment drop rate increase modifier on my processor. I always like that because the more reactors, the better. I can sift through them and get more drops. And then as for the reason we're using the Slayer 4 set, obviously you get rounds per magazine and you also get skill power. So extra 9% rounds per magazine. It's going to improve our Freyna ult even more. And then you've got the skill power of 26%. Again, even more damage for Freyna's ultimate ability. Now, I do know there is the new set from the latest boss that was introduced, Deathstalker, the Distorted Resolve set. I haven't gotten good enough rolls to start testing with that. However, just taking a look at it off the rip, it might not be better than Slayer because one, it doesn't give you the increased magazine, and two, the toxic skill power, it doesn't match the skill power that you get from the Slayer set, and it is the same bucket that we use for our Descendant modules. So for example, what I mean is we're already using a ton of toxic skill power in our Descendant modules. The benefit of the Slayer set is the skill power. It's not toxic skill power, it's just skill power. So that is a different bucket, and it will start its own multiplier, and there is diminishing returns whenever you're using a lot of one stat. So yeah, I think that the Assault Rifle ATK and maybe the cool little max HP synergy that it has with Freyna is really cool. I just think they need to buff other sets. I'm really tired of running Slayer permanently on every single Descendant, and I really think that they should probably be aware of this by now, but I'm going to not rant too long and go on a tangent about that because I am pretty frustrated about that. I really don't like using the same set. It almost ruins all the synergy and like the dopamine I get from creating synergistic builds. It all just revolves around your mods right now, it seems, and hopefully we get a change for that in the future. But before I get too deep into that, that is the components we'll be using, and that is why we are using them. A really good set, obviously Slayer is, and you're just going to get the most damage out of it. So there's that. Okay, now we're going to talk about the mobbing reactor. So the mobbing reactor we're going to be using, for me at least, it's going to be skill cooldown and skill duration on the toxic and tech mounted reactor with Fallen Hope. I've got Fallen Hope. Obviously, Secret Garden is going to be better. It's going to stack your skill power by spamming your first ability. Honestly, I farmed a lot of reactors and I really didn't get the rolls that I wanted to other than the cooldown duration with Fallen Hope. And I'm not too mad about that. I think Fallen Hope is eventually maybe Copium going to get buffed. So I might see that happen and I would be very excited because I'm working on it now. And I know it's not going to do the most damage, but this is what I've got now and this is what I'm going to use. However, Secret Garden would probably be the one that you want to use with Freyna for mobbing just because you get that skill power buff. Again, skill cooldown and duration up is what I'm going to be going for. And I actually I think it's the best for mobbing. I think you have plenty of damage. There is absolutely no need to run tech and toxic boost in my opinion. I think that's kind of useless. Obviously, if you're min-maxing, you can run, a damage type to a faction of your choice and then, tech boost or cooldown or duration. But this is going to be my go-to cooldown and duration for the mobbing reactor on Freyna. All right, and then let's talk about the bossing reactor. So literally the same thing, obviously, tech toxic, and you are going to want a additional skill attack when attacking Colossus and a tech skill power boost ratio. I was able to get one, but again, it was on Fallen Hope. I farmed these things for a while. It really does not matter. The only I would say the most important thing as far as your reactors with the bossing builds are going to be impact mounted. Again, because of that sharp precision shot mod, stacking about a tenth of a second quicker up to 10 stacks. That's about a whole second quicker. It stacks to your fastest fire rate. So it is a relatively large damage increase, a lot larger than most people think. You're going to be able to get off a lot more bullets a lot quicker with just that extra second because of how many bullets we're getting off with the Freyna's ultimate ability with the fire rate and everything. And yeah, that is going to be as simple as it is. Obviously, I know, I've got Fallen Hope. I've just made sure that I have the correct modules socketed in the gun so that I get the most damage with my ult. It still wrecks pretty hard, but if you want to do that extra little bit of damage, definitely run the impact weapons to get that sharp precision shot stacking a bit quicker. And that is the reactor for bossing with Freyna. Okay, now as far as the weapon, so weapon I'll be using is going to be Fallen Hope for the mobbing side of things. Now, obviously, this is not the best weapon to use, but I like it, and I do have hope or copium that it will be buffed maybe in the future. Probably not, but it is what it is. It's still a solid weapon to use. You do get the benefits of sharp precision shot, so you can, on general rounds, so you can use this with your ultimate ability, and those final bosses of the 400% dungeons will go down quick with your ultimate ability. You can stack all your fire rate and magazine size and everything. As you can see on screen, I am using all the important mods mixed with some of the mods that I added in there. The only one I'm not really too certain on, I do plan on maxing all these out. The only one I'm not too certain on is Deadeye. I might run crit damage instead of that. I just don't know. I haven't done a lot of testing with it yet, but I do know that I'm going to run pretty much every other socket that I have on the weapon guaranteed, other than that Deadeye mod. Obviously, the minus 20% accuracy on this thing is pretty abysmal. Even when it's maxed out for unique ability maxed out, you still get a minus 20% accuracy. So my whole thinking was I get the extra firearm ATK even though it's 1%, and then I get that accuracy pretty much gone and back to normal. But yeah, we run as much firearm ATK as possible and all the magazine size and fire rate mods that we can, including sharp precision shot. Now, if you are going to be as min-maxy as you can, you want to do the most damage, Secret Garden is going to be the best weapon. However, guys, you are clearing stuff so quickly with Freyna that truly that extra 36-40% skill power that Secret Garden gets you at max stacks is not really worth using, in my opinion. My opinion on it is you want to use a gun that can take advantage of sharp precision shot, because Secret Garden can't really take advantage of sharp precision shot like Fallen Hope or Enduring Legacy. Honestly, my go-to would probably be Enduring Legacy fully built, mounted with Freyna. That way you have a weapon to do a ton of damage whenever your ultimate ability is on cooldown, and it's doing a different damage type. So you're kind of like diversifying your damage portfolio, if you will, and you're doing that extra damage. I have Fallen Hope because I like the way it feels with Freyna, and I just want to be synergistic and copium that it'll be buffed. But Enduring Legacy is definitely probably going to be the way to go, in my opinion. And then you've got a Secret Garden if you want to absolutely get the most damage you can out of your dots. But again, for mobbing, we're really not like relying on the damage being increased just because of how quick we already are killing everything on the screen. So yeah. And then I just quickly want to talk about bossing with the weapons that I would be using if I could. Realistically, it does not matter, guys. All that matters is that you have the I've said this already too. Sharp precision shot, fire rate up, expand weapon charge, and compulsive magazine. That is all that matters. If you have that on an impact weapon, you're going to do more damage for bossing. It stacks 1/10 of a second quicker, and you are going to do more damage. It is not a giant increase, but it is very, very good. It is a increase for just equipping a different type of weapon and having it mounted to your reactor. So yeah, if you want to get the most damage you can, you're going to want an impact weapon with those mods, and that's that. Again, I have Fallen Hope, so I'm running just the Fallen Hope with all the mods, like I said, with that reactor that I said I had, but I just want to emphasize that that is what you would want to run for the weapon if you do get one mounted with the impact for Freyna. And then lastly, I will quickly talk about the inversion reinforcement. So for the inversion reinforcement, what I use realistically, there's not a whole lot you gain from a lot of these, but there is nice little small gains, and especially if you've maxed out the lines, you do get some nice damage reduction. But for the three I'll be running, it's going to be the shield particle augmentation instead of anything like the MP stacking or the HP stacking, mainly because I don't really need more MP with Freyna whenever I'm mobbing, and that they did nerf the neural focus augmentation to give you less MP, and it takes a lot longer to stack up. Even it takes 50 kills instead of the 5 that it did. So yeah. And then next up would probably be the selective neurostimulation. This is going to be just randomly recovering your MP every 60 seconds. So obviously not the best, but out of all of them, it's the only one worth running. And then depending on whatever you're running at the time, you can change your high density membranes to basically reduce your damage taken from certain resistances. Right now, I have mine as the high density toxic particle membrane. That way I can do the new boss and have a little bit more toxin resistance. However, you can run chill, you can run electric, you can obviously run flame as well. But yeah, those are going to be what I'm using for the inversion reinforcement. Wanted to include it just because since it is season 1, I feel like it is worth mentioning. And that about wraps it up for the video, guys. I seriously appreciate it if you made it this far. Do not forget to leave a like if it helped you. Comment feedback you've got for me down below. Subscribe if you feel that I've earned it and you want to see more videos like this. Also, I'm live 5 days a week on Twitch. Link is in the description below if you guys want to come hang out. Don't forget my Twitter. Everything's down there in the description below. Join the Discord community. We've got a lot of people playing the game with each other. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, wherever you're at. And I'll see you next time. I'm out of here. Peace out. Goodbye.